Good evening and welcome to CYC News for the 7th of August 2016 and the 1st of Mesra 1732 AM. I'm Daniel Noor. In today's headlines, community members attempt to save the first Coptic church in Sydney, Australia from possible demolition. New Coptic churches are established in Uganda and Japan. Afghanistan rockets strike tourists in the heart of Herat. British jets hit ISIS training camps in Saddam Hussein's former palace. Hurricane Earl causes a landfall in Belize. And Rio 2016, Novak Djokovic chases the elusive Olympic gold medal. To our top story. The Australian Coptic Heritage and Community Services Association gathered today in Sydney, Australia. The Association of Australian Copts met in response to the state government's announcement that the former church of St Mary and St Mina, the first Coptic Orthodox church in Australia and one of the first churches to be blessed for use outside of Egypt, will not be listed as a preserved site of historical importance. This makes the building vulnerable to demolition. The Coptic community in Sydney is contesting a state government decision which may lead to the demolition of its first Coptic Orthodox church. The Church of St Mary and St Mina has long stood as a place of symbolic memory for the Coptic Orthodox, who gathered there for weddings, christenings, funerals and other events after the first waves of migration from Egypt. Community members like Hanan Rabour and Father Tadros Semaan spoke of the historic importance of the old site, as well as the need for the Coptic community to unify more effectively to preserve the building.
This church is of a great value, as it is the very first church we had in Australia. So it carries a lot of memories, a lot of prayers, a lot of masses, a lot of holy sacraments. So the place is holy for the Lord.
It was the first church blessed for purchasing by His Holiness the Saint Pope Carolus VI, and it was purchased before the church in Canada or the US or England. So it is of relevance to Coptic migration, the history of Copts around the world. So it's not just relevant to people or Copts in Sydney. It's also relevant to the residents that live around the building, around the church, and relevant to the community of the Methodist Church who actually were brought up here.
It is a great value for us, not only the memories, but the holiness of the place and the holy prayers that have been conducted on the place for many years.
Professor Paul Ashton, who compiled the report about the historic value of the site, said it held key importance for the Coptic community.
The church in many ways is very different to other churches in Australia. It's much more critical to the fundamental fabric of the culture, and it's a prime mover of community life.
Minister Craig Kelly, federal member for Hughes, said that Australia's Egyptian community was a powerful force in the social fabric of the country. It was a surprising admission that the state government made that it did not approve the site for special preservation.
Look, this is one of the first Coptic churches here in Australia and also outside of Egypt. This is very important for our Australian heritage. It's also important not just for Australian heritage, but also for Coptic heritage. We've seen the situation in the Middle East where we see Coptic churches being destroyed. We see Coptic churches being burnt and razed to the ground. We can't do that here in our country. And with so much uncertainty in the Middle East, we don't know what the future holds for the Coptic people in the Middle East. We would like to think that they would be there for another 1,000 years.
In other news about the Coptic community, on Monday, August the 1st, His Holiness Pope Tewodros II received His Grace Bishop Lucas, the Secretary of the Holy Synod of the Ethiopian Orthodox Church. He was accompanied by 2 Ethiopian priests who serve the Ethiopian community in Egypt. His Grace Bishop Lucas visited Cairo to see his children who live there. He prayed the liturgy with them and ordained a new priest as he held a general meeting in the Coptic Cultural Centre of St Mark's Cathedral. He also visited churches and monasteries. On Wednesday, August the 3rd, His Holiness Pope Tawadros II honoured Abanub Adel, who ranked first in Egypt's High School of the Blind examination. Mr. Adel gained a score of 401 out of 410 in his exams. Abanub joined the faculty of Alsun at Ain Shams University in the Russian department. Also, His Holiness Pope Tawadros II offered his condolences for the departure of Dr. Ahmed Zewail, the Egyptian-winning Global Science Nobel Prize laureate. Dr. Zewail received the Nobel Prize in Chemistry in 1999. The scientist, highly regarded by the people of Egypt, had global respect and acclaim. He was a highly patriotic Egyptian and visited Egypt regularly. Still in Coptic news, last Sunday, His Grace Bishop Antonios Markos, General Bishop of African Affairs, inaugurated St. Mark's Coptic Church in Kampala City in Uganda. His Grace prayed the Divine Liturgy. Father Marcos Anwar and two priests from the Coptic Kenyan Church participated in the prayer. His Grace Bishop Antonios, General Bishop of African Affairs, ordained two deacons. The Egyptian ambassador Ahmed Abdel Aziz came to the church headquarters to congratulate His Grace. His Grace Bishop Antonios visited the Egyptian embassy headquarters in Kampala City in Uganda. Japan got its first Coptic Orthodox church recently, consecrated in Kyoto on the 15th of July. His Grace Bishop Daniel, Bishop of the Coptic Orthodox Diocese of Sydney and the affiliated regions, presided over the ceremony, and over 100 participants from Japan, Egypt, Ethiopia and Eritrea were present for the occasion. The Coptic Orthodox Church has been active in Japan since 2004. The new story building, or rather the three-story building, named after St. Mary and St. Mark, was purchased from another denomination. It has been in use now for over 30 years. 6 tourists travelling in Herat province in western Afghanistan were injured on Thursday when a rocket struck the vans they were travelling in. This is according to an Afghan army spokesman. An Afghan driver was also wounded in the attack. Jelani Farhad, a spokesman for Herat's governor, said the tourists were from the United States, Britain and Germany. The injured were among a party of 11 tourists riding in 2 vans when the rocket struck. They were travelling through Herat's Chest-e-Sharif district. District Sharif Farhad Khadimi told CNN. The convoy was accompanied by Afghan security force vehicles, he added. We are providing assistance to British nationals involved in the attack in Herat and are in close contact with local authorities, Britain's Foreign Office said in a statement. The group was around 25 kilometres from the province's administrative centre when the rocket struck around 11 a.m. local time. Many countries, including the US and the UK, have long-standing travel advisory warnings against all but essential travel to Afghanistan due to the ongoing security crisis throughout the country. British fighter jets have struck an ISIS training complex in one of the toppled Iraqi dictator Saddam Hussein's former palaces in Mosul, according to the UK Ministry of Defence, who said this on Wednesday. 2 Royal Air Force Typhoons carried out the strikes on Monday on one of the terror group's strongholds in Mosul as part of a targeted coalition attack, the ministry said in a statement. Extensive surveillance showed the palace close to the Tigris River, containing a training centre for foreign recruits and officers dedicated to internal security in the group's so-called caliphate. The jets were armed with the RAF's largest guided bombs. The bombs struck the headquarters, then the security centre. Initial indications were that the mission was successful. Daesh has been losing followers and territory for months, and emphatic strikes like this show that we and the coalition will not waver, said UK Defence Secretary Michael Fallon. During a visit to British air bases in the Mediterranean island of Cyprus, from which British jets fly daily missions against ISIS, Fallon announced that additional UK troops would deploy to Iraq for the fight against the terror group later this month. ISIS has steadily lost territory in Iraq and Syria in the past 18 months, including in the Iraqi cities of Ramadi, Tikrit and Fallujah, while it pursues mass casualty attacks beyond the borders of its so-called caliphate to project its power. Iraq's military is gearing up for an assault to retake Mosul, the largest city under ISIS control. People in Aleppo are hungry and terrified as the Syrian army tightens its grips on the rebel-held eastern section of the city, according to resident and photojournalist Karam El-Masri, who spoke to CNN. Food and water have become scarce, he added. The situation now is really bad. There is not enough food in the city, not enough bread. The residents are very scared and hungry. Many markets are closed and people stand in long lines for food, with each family receiving 6 loaves of bread every 2 days, Masri also said. He added there was a shortage of all basic needs. Hurricane Earl made landfall in Belize early Thursday, with maximum sustained winds of 129 kilometres per hour. The storm is pushing west at 23 kilometres per hour. The Category 1 storm continues to pound the area with strong winds, heavy rain and storm surges after spreading drenching rain over the Central American country on Wednesday night, the National Hurricane Center in Miami reported. After it made landfall near Belize City, the storm is forecast to move over the southern Yucatan Peninsula or northern Guatemala on Thursday. But the storm is expected to diminish in strength as it moves over land, deprived of the moisture source of the Caribbean. The country's National Meteorological Service tells CNN there have been widespread power outages in the country. A hurricane warning is in place from Mexico south to the Belize-Guatemala border. A tropical storm warning is also in effect. Hurricane-force winds only extend 15 miles from the centre of the storm, but tropical storm-force winds reach out 225 kilometres. Over a foot of rain is possible and will bring the threat of flooding and landslides in higher terrain. Other areas, including portions of Belize, Honduras, Guatemala and the Yucatan Peninsula of Mexico, could get between 8 and 12 inches of rain. Rainfall could reach 18 inches in areas of Mexico and Belize, which could result in life-threatening flash floods and mudslides. Colombia says it will deport more than 1,200 Cubans who have been stranded in the South American country. The migrants are trying to reach the United States, but have been stuck for months in the northwestern city of Turbo, Colombia, near the Panamanian border. Panama closed its border with Colombia in May to stop Cubans from passing through. The move left a number of migrants living in Turbo growing, with many camped in warehouses that became a makeshift shelter. The wave of new arrivals didn't sit well with local authorities, who declared a state of emergency and called on officials from the federal government to step in. This week they did, declaring the group would be sent back to Cuba. The Colombian government's announcement is the latest volley in a battle that has been brewing for months over Cuban migrants there. But the simmering tensions in Colombia are part of a much bigger picture. A surge of Cubans is trying to reach the United States. The state of Rio de Janeiro will deploy nearly 14,000 security officers, about a third more than previously planned, throughout the Olympic and Paralympic Games, according to Military Police General Commander Edison Duarte. Authorities plan to deploy more officers to the Barra da Tijuca area, the neighbourhood where the Olympic Park Athletes Village and most of the Olympic sporting arenas are located. The contingent will be part of the 85,000 security officers that have been deployed to the city. In addition to Rio State Police, members of the Brazilian Armed Forces, Navy and out-of-state police will be on patrol throughout the city. Duarte also announced more than 3,000 vehicles would be used for policing during the Games, as well as 3 blimps spread throughout the city that will transmit high-resolution images in real time. And to our final story. While golf at the Olympics has been plagued by high-profile withdrawals, tennis will be without some of its major stars in Rio as well. The biggest names aren't avoiding Rio because of the Zika virus, unlike in golf, but rather because of injuries. After 2-time Grand Slam champion Stan Wawrinka announced that he will miss the Games due to a back problem, it leaves just 5 of the world's top 10 men competing for the gold medal in Rio. Wawrinka is the 3rd Swiss player to bail from the Olympics after Roger Federer and Belinda Bencic also succumbed to injuries. "I'm very sad," Wawrinka, who won gold with Federer in doubles in 2008, said in a statement. I was really excited about playing in Rio, he added. Federer misses the opportunity to add a singles gold medal to his already overflowing trophy cabinet after pulling out of the Games, and the rest of the season because of a knee injury. Besides the singles, he had been expected to partner 5-time Grand Slam singles winner Martina Hingis in Brazil in a collaboration that got tennis fans into a frenzy. Federer's absence means world number 1 Novak Djokovic is the clear favourite for the gold medal, with reigning Olympic champion Andy Murray right behind him. And that's all for CYC News. A reminder you can watch this news bulletin again throughout the week on YouTube. I'm Daniel Noor from the CYC studios in Sydney, Australia. Have a good night.